Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the December 1st meeting of the Yakima School Board. Welcome to Franklin Middle School. And first and foremost, welcome Director Shelton. Happy to have you here. Let's see here. We do offer Spanish interpretation services. Jorge from Language Connection is here. If you need translation assistance in person, please check with Jorge for a device. And Jorge, would you please translate this for us?
Si alguien necesita de la ayuda de un intérprete, tenemos el sistema y estoy disponible para hacerlo. Gracias.
Thank you, Jorge. If you wish to make public comment this afternoon, there are two options for you. The first option is for commenting on agenda items only, and the second option, which comes towards the end of the meeting, is for all other topics. In order to speak tonight, you'll need to sign two forms, the sign-in form and the guidelines form. And we do provide live streaming for the meeting. The link can be found on our webpage under the Board of Directors tab. Barb, would you please take the roll?
Director Shelton? Director Walker?
Here.
Director Navarro Jr.?
Here.
Director Rice?
Here.
President Beckett?
Thank you, Barb. And I'm going to introduce Principal Espindola from Franklin to introduce a special student for us today.
All right, so welcome to Franklin Middle School. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome our ASB president up to do the Pledge of Allegiance and read our character word of the month. So Mr. Jack Whitney is our ASB president for this year, and he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, everyone, and please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The December word of the month is altruistic. The definition is demonstrating a selfless concern for the well-being of others.
See if you have any questions.
Any questions? Think about that.
Jack, what grade are you in?
I'm in 8th grade.
We've seen you at the CTE Awards dinners, haven't we?
Many times.
Yes. Your name was familiar. Good luck with this year.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Thank you very much.
Questions, I'm telling you. I was like, they might grill you.
Nice work.
Thank you, Jack.
Today, the schools of the Yakima School District rest on the ancestral lands of the 14 confederated tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation.
Hoy las escuelas del Distrito Escolar de Yakima descansan en las tierras ancestrales de las 14 tribus y bandas confederadas de la nación Yakima.
The people of the Yakima Nation inhabited more than 12 million acres.
La gente de la nación Yakima habitó más de 10 billones de acres.
Across Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Franklin, Grant, Kittitas, Klickitat, and Yakima counties. En los condados de Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Grant, Franklin, Kittitas, Klickitat, y Yakima.
Today we honor those native peoples who are tied to the land through history, legends, and culture.
Hoy honramos a estos pueblos originales que están vinculados en la tierra a través de historias, leyendas y culturas. We acknowledge the descendants who live in the world today.
Reconocemos a sus descendientes que viven en el mundo de hoy.
We thank the caretakers of this land who have lived here and continue to live here since time immemorial.
Agradezcamos a los guardianes de la tierra, quienes han vivido aquí y continúan viviendo aquí desde tiempos inmemoriales.
An acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way to show respect. Un reconocimiento es una manera simple y poderosa de mostrar respeto.
And a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase Indigenous peoples' history and culture.
y un paso hacia la corrección de las historias y prácticas que borran la historia y la cultura de los pueblos indígenas.
It also honors the truth. También honra la verdad.
As a school district, we will continue to build upon our relations with the Yakima Nation.
Como distrito escolar, continuaremos fortaleciendo nuestras relaciones con la nación Yakima.
Thank you, Barb. Before we get to our presentation from Principal Espandola regarding Franklin Middle School, Director Shelton and I have to take our oath of office. So Dr. Green, will you be helping us with that?
Absolutely. I invite you to join me here at the podium. We'll have you stand side by side right here. Make sure we can get you there in the centered in the video. We, of course, have to document this, so go ahead and raise your hand to the square. Haven't even started yet. Ready? Need a photo? You got it? All right. Almost there. Each of you hold these. Do one more photo. May I borrow one of those? All right, wonderful. Thank you. And before I administer the oath of office, I just want to acknowledge Jack. Is he still here? Did he take off? He's got things to do, which is good. He's got a full schedule. Jack is also a member of our student senate, so I wanted to recognize that while he was still here, but I missed out. So we're proud to have him, and I want to thank the board again for all of their work around student voice as we now reform our board. Anytime we add a new board member, it is a completely new board, so we're excited about our new board opportunity. And with that, I will administer the oath of office, the director's oath of office. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington and the laws of the state of Washington, and to faithfully discharge the duties of the office at Yakima School District Number 7, Director Position 1 and 2 respectively, according to the best of my ability. Thank you. There you go. I just gave it away.
Dr. Green, would you like to introduce Principal Espandola?
Oh boy, yes. Yeah, and I think I'll actually pass this in just a moment. Hang on, I'll pass this just a moment to Maria Lucero, who actually works with our executive directors. But I just do want to acknowledge that what a catch to have Principal Espandola here. I don't even know what it's been, 3 years? Your second year as principal, and it's so nice when we have somebody that is a part of a system principal, and then they can move into that lead role. We have many buildings where somebody may come as an individual or a team from the outside, but to have him really know what the building was about and then step into that lead role, we're just proud to have him working with a population that is so important, our middle school students. If any of you have ever worked with middle school students, you know that as a teacher, it's like dog years. 1 year with middle school students is like 7. It's because they're so interesting, so entertaining, and so malleable. And we're grateful again for your team and the work that you put in on behalf of our students and community. Would you like to add anything, Dr. Lucero?
I just want to thank Principal Espindola for his leadership and for the heart that he has for the work that he does here at Franklin.
Thank you, Dr. Green and Dr. Lucero, for those kind words. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share the work that we have happening here at Franklin. There's been a lot of great work that has been done over the years, both in my tenure here over the last 2 years as principal and even before that. And so before I get started on our presentation, I do want to acknowledge the efforts and that one of our teachers has made to contributing to the district as a whole. And just something that's a little piece of Franklin that's on your guys' table is actually the nameplates that you see here on the table were created by Mr. McFadden and his students using his laser engraver. And so Mr. McFadden actually was trying to make his way over there, but he's in the daycare line, and he sent us, Barb and I, a quick email saying, hey, I'm not able to make it, but I did want to make sure that we were acknowledging the efforts of Mr. McFadden and his students. The students actually were the ones that adjusted and programmed the names into Adobe Illustrator, and were able to size them and get them looking professional so that they fit these nameplates. And they were actually able to do it within a day's turnaround. And so when Board Director Shelton and Board Director Beckett were elected, we ended up right after the election creating brand new nameplates for you guys to welcome you on board. And it's just our contribution to you guys. And we also contributed some things to TNL as well. So it's a little gift from us. All right. So everything that you hear this afternoon is grounded in our work as a professional learning community here at Franklin, and making sure that we ensure our mission of everyone learning at high levels. And when we say everyone, we mean everyone, the adults that teach in this building and the students that learn from the adults in this building. We believe that as educators, we are continuous learners. And so when we were developing our mission statement, it really led to, you will hear a lot of schools say all students will hear at high levels, but we wanted to acknowledge the efforts of the adults in this building as well. So any adult that walks through here has the opportunity to engage in high levels of learning throughout the school day or throughout the school year. When I entered here as the principal of Franklin, my goal as the principal was to make sure that we were sustaining the work that was already happening within the building. Franklin is a foundational school. And so the way we identify that is it's a school that is not identified for improvement through the state of Washington and through the Washington State Improvement Framework. And so my goal as the building principal is to sustain that and build upon the success that our teachers were already having in our school building. So when taking over Franklin, it wasn't to just completely overhaul the work that we were already doing. Our teachers were already engaged in the collaborative practices, but there was some fine tweaking and tuning that needed to take place. And so my goal was to create a framework for our teachers to follow so that any staff new to Franklin knew how we did business and was able to just come in and learn from their peers, from me as the building principal, and from my assistants as they got to know what that system was. What you have on your guys' table is actually a more in-depth picture of the foundation of the Franklin Middle School PLCs. And really what that is it's our promise of ensuring that everyone learns at high levels. And it's to make sure that we are achieving our vision of students entering as learners and exiting as leaders by the time they exit the 8th grade here at Franklin. What our teachers do is our teachers engage in a set of core values that help us achieve our goals. And so you'll actually see that as our 4th pillar is the goals are actually our school improvement plan goals. And so we have 3 goals. We have an academic goal, which is centered around literacy and numeracy. And we have a students with disabilities and inclusion goal. Those are the 2 goals that you guys are going to hear about tonight in this presentation. And then we have a goal on attendance. So really, this is the framework that grounds our work as collaborative teams here at Franklin Middle School. So again, our academic goal is focused on literacy and numeracy, and we shifted to literacy and numeracy rather than saying reading and math because we needed our staff to understand that it was our collective responsibility in the achievement of this goal, that all staff were really responsible for teaching literacy and numeracy strategies building wide. And so what we did was when we identified this goal, we looked at our Washington School Improvement Framework data to really identify where our needs were in identifying the need for literacy and numeracy here at Franklin and focusing on our students with disabilities. We also looked at our Smarter Balanced Assessment data, which fed into the exact strategies we needed to be unified in throughout the entire school year. And so some of the things that we are doing in progress monitoring is this year we have the opportunity to have our STAR benchmark assessment, which we give 3 times a year, and then really focusing on something that's pretty unique to Franklin is the MyPath Math program and MyPath Reading program. That program is an individualized program that students get to engage in during homeroom and in their math and ELA classes throughout the week to really fine-tune their skills when it comes to literacy and numeracy here at Franklin Middle School. So students take the benchmark assessment, and then that benchmark assessment then communicates with the MyPath program to create an individualized experience for students that they can engage in, not only in the classroom, but also at home as well. So going into our literacy goal, our numeracy goal, it says Franklin Middle School will use the PLC process during the 25-26 school year to strengthen numeracy outcomes within a specific focus on extending operational strategies and foundational math skills to rational numbers, including fractions and decimals. And so a lot of our teachers were going to be like, okay, well, how do I apply that content knowledge to my courses? And what we did was we developed cross-content academic vocabulary, and it's actually in your guys' additional slides for you guys to see later on, but you will see what those numeracy cross-content academic vocabulary words look like across band, choir, PE, history, so that everybody was really invested in the goal. The next thing that we worked on was our goal surrounding our students with disabilities. So when we looked at our Washington State improvement framework data, we noticed that we were very close to the identifying threshold for our students with disabilities. And as an instructional leadership team, we knew that our focus needed to be on our students with disabilities. And so last year, what I did in May is I tapped a team of teachers to go into inclusionary practices and co-teaching on a larger scale. So our discussions centered around the years that we found success with our students of disabilities was the years that we were having co-teach work on a smaller scale. So what you'll see here is 3 years worth of data. And this is our students with disabilities that were passing the SBA. And this is specific to math. And so what you see is we have 10% of our students with disabilities in the 22-23 school year that showed proficiency in math, and then 8% in the 24-25 school year that showed proficiency in math. The gap that you see is the year that we didn't have an inclusionary practice or co-teaching model happening within our school, and that was due to staffing or the person in that position just being too new to the idea of co-teaching and inclusion. And so we needed to recognize that those years where we had inclusion on a small scale, we had some success, and we needed to act on it and bring it into the larger picture. And so again, I tapped 6 individuals, well, 8, so 2 resource teachers and 3 ELA teachers and 3 math teachers to really dive into the co-teaching model and work out the bugs and kind of tweak our system and really develop that here this year so that we had something that was sustainable going forward. The chart that you see here on the your right hand side is data from our end of unit common assessments. And what we're excited about is that this is just data for our students with disabilities. And in this first common end of unit assessment, where it's assessing a guaranteed standard or one standard, 50%, 52% of our students with disabilities actually met the proficiency within the common end of unit assessment. And so teacher A, what you'll see is teacher A is our teacher who is paired with a resource room teacher doing that co-teach model. And teacher B is teacher A's partner. And what we saw through that process is that teacher B was also benefiting from that collaborative practice and the strategies that teacher A and the resource teacher were engaging in. And so the 3 of them really showed some, hopeful data that we see here, and we're hoping to see this trend climb. I wasn't able to squeeze it into the presentation, but I did have a conversation with our 7th grade team, and they were super excited to share that when they gave their common end of unit assessment last week, they actually saw that they had no students with disabilities in that co-teach class in the intensive category. So we measure intensive strategic benchmark. You might have heard of it as tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. But really, we didn't have in that 7th grade common end of unit assessment any students with disabilities identified in that intensive category, which was a huge surprise to us and which was just really good data that I wanted to share with you that I wasn't able to get into the slide in time. But just being able to share that with you guys just is awesome. And we're just hoping to see the trajectory keep going here at Franklin. All right, so the next thing I wanted to share was how did we really get to making this work happen here at Franklin? So last year, in my first year as principal, my goal was to make sure that we were giving the time that teachers needed during district-directed Mondays to engage in the work, build the products or the units of study, and really engage in the overall PLC process. And so last year during district-directed Mondays, what we did was grade level teams met for about 45 minutes to talk with their partner teacher. So if I was the 6th grade ELA teacher and Mr. Morietta was my partner, we would meet for 45 minutes on that Monday. And then we would go the next 45 minutes as a department to share out some of the things that we were doing. This year on district directed Mondays, we kind of separated the two. And the reason being is that the feedback from teachers was that they wanted more time with their grade level partners. And so I wanted to honor that and make sure that they had more time with their grade level partners. So that first district directed Monday of the month is spent with their grade level partner. And then that second district directed Monday of the month is spent with their entire vertical team to share strategies, ideas, the struggles that were happening within the unit with each other. And so this work didn't just happen by magic. It took a lot of kind of tilling the soil and making sure that our teachers were ready to create these units of study and engage in the PLC work. And so that work really happened on our district directed Wednesdays. And last year, what we did is when we introduced the concepts of the units of study work, a lot of our teachers said that they knew how to really break down the standards, they knew how to plan, but there was some steps and gaps that were missing. And so what I did is I gave our teachers an assessment or a rubric to really gauge what their knowledge base was when it came to the PLC system and the units of study system overall. And then that is actually in your guys' packet as well. It's the document. It's the document that looks like this. So our department teams actually took this assessment, and then what we did was we took the average scores of the assessment and decided to create our coaching plan from where teachers were the lowest. And that was making sure that teachers had the time to write common assessments that were aligned to the essential standards. So that was how we kind of took it step by step last year on district directed Wednesdays. We wanted to make sure that the professional development was there for our teaching staff. And then this year, our district directed Wednesdays, I have dedicated that time for our teachers to really refine that process. Those units of studies are meant to be living documents so that they can come back year to year and refine them. You know, was this the right guaranteed standard? Was this the right common assessment that they gave? What is the student data? What does our reflection from the past year tell us? What do we need to do differently this year in order to make sure students are successful? And so that is one of the things that I committed as a building leader, was to make sure that teachers this year had the time to refine those units of study, create the common assessments. And this year they're also working on proficiency scales, and proficiency scales are kind of like the ladder or the rungs that the rungs on the ladder that you take to kind of climb up to achieve the standard that is needed to show proficiency on that standard. And so before I move on, I'll open it up to any questions if there's anything, or I can just didn't want to make sure I was going too fast or anything. All right. So on your guys' slide deck, I've also had our ILT calendar on there, and there's an example of a unit of study so that you guys can see how our teachers engage in the unit of study process and plan around that and pace out their lessons throughout the unit. So it could be anywhere between a 2 to 6 week unit, anywhere between 15 to 30 days. It really just depends on the teacher team and what they decide it's going to take for a student to achieve the guaranteed standard that they're teaching. So some of the opportunities that we have and some of the learnings that we're taking away is we are continuing to focus on our literacy and numeracy strategy school-wide. That by no means is a perfect system. We continue to engage in those discussions in our instructional leadership team meetings, in our professional learning teams, and really fine-tune what students need in order to be successful at the grade level that they are currently in. And again, in talking to our teacher teams, it's really making sure that students are achieving at grade level and are ready for the state assessments when they come around. And so those are the discussions that are continuing to happen and the opportunities that we continue to engage in as we move throughout this process. One of the things that I do want to highlight is the expanding work on our inclusionary practices, and thanks to the support of Kevin Brennan and Casey Mitchell, we're able to kind of expand that work on the inclusionary practices side and getting our teachers to fine-tune that system as well. The co-teaching model, there is no set prescription for what co-teaching looks like. It really is about the partnership that is happening within that team and the ideas that they're sharing with each other, and constantly going back and forth, engaging in the collaborative discussion to see this is what worked for students today, what's going to work with them for them tomorrow, what is my part in this lesson, what's your part in this lesson, and really engaging in that deeper work. And it's been fun to see with the team that I've tapped in the shoulders to do that work. And before I move on, I do want to read a statement that was provided by our 6th grade math teacher around the PLT process and the units of study process. And so this is a statement from Kim Gutierrez, my 6th grade math teacher, and I will read it to you guys. During the 24-25 school year, my partner teacher and I began creating unit of study forms for the year. We would meet during our prep and PLT time to identify learning standards in the unit, create learning targets, specify depths of knowledge levels, and then plan our units. We also created common formative and summative assessments, and then recorded our data on the teacher analysis form. The unit of study form helped to generate conversations about where students did well, areas they could improve on, and strategies we were using. What we began to notice is that even though we were teaching different kids, our data was very similar because we were collaborating so closely. I was in my 11th year of teaching and she was in her 3rd year, but you would never have known the difference. Unfortunately, my partner teacher is no longer here this year and I have a new partner. The work that we did last year on the unit of study form has been a great help to my new partner. At the start of the year, we met and I shared the unit of study forms with him. He was able to see the standards and learning targets for each unit and how we had planned each unit last year. Most units were broken down by weeks, but we have modified it this year to show a daily calendar. I think this will be even more useful for next year, so we can look back and see what activity we did each day in our unit. We are still doing common formative and summative assessments and recording our data on the form. We are now able to look back at last year's data and compare. Lastly, during the summer, I met with other 6th grade teachers from around the district to plan common assessments, and it was so nice to be able to refer to the unit of study form and know how many days were spent on each unit so we could create a common testing window for our assessments this year. Overall, I have found the units of study form to be a useful tool for planning units, recording data, and collaborating with my team members. So that's from Kim Gutierrez, our 6th grade math teacher. Thank you guys again for this opportunity and sharing just a little part of what's happening here at Franklin with all of you. And I will open it up for questions if you have any.
No questions, but a comment. I'm really impressed with 3 of the things that you articulated. First of all, that every teacher is teaching vocabulary and have committed to vocabulary across the school. I think that's so powerful. Second of all, that I'm really pleased with what's happening with your professional learning communities. You're doing it with fidelity, and I think that really is making a difference. And third, Yakima has a long way to go as a district with inclusionary practices. And I think your staff and you are leading the way with that. And it's just wonderful to see that. As a former special education teacher, I love to see a sincere effort to go further into inclusion. So congratulations to you and your staff.
Thank you for the great presentation. I have, I think, probably just one question.
Yeah.
You gave us some information about improvement and growth for your special education students.
Yeah.
Have you seen equivalent growth for gen ed kids and highly capable kids in their school lives?
Yeah, so our Washington State Improvement Framework data shows growth for not only our students with disabilities, but also the growth for our general education population and our multilingual learners. And one of the other things I could have focused on was the growth that our multilingual learners have made as well. And just to make a long story short, we actually did kind of like the same method in terms of like inclusion with our multilingual learners, but we did it through the co-planning process where we actually have a team of ELA teachers who are actually teaching ELD classes, and that's for our multilingual learners. And what we've noticed over the last 3 years, so the year, one of the years that I was the interim principal and I was able to bring this program into play, was 3 years later, we have a pretty high exiting rate when it comes to our multilingual learners exiting program and making growth. So the first year we started, I think we had 3 multilingual learners. The second year was 6, and last year we had, I would say, 17 or 18 multilingual learners exit the program, just based off of what they learned in those classes. And so we are seeing growth in the gen ed population and in our multilingual learners as well.
That's great news. Thank you very much.
I do have a comment as well.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting you early in your career, right,
Yeah.
as a basketball coach. And I say that to say that it's awesome to see all those skills you had as a basketball coach transition to educational and a strategic leader. It's awesome to see that. And I can still see you coaching, being very strategic, shaping the Franklin Middle School with organizational development concepts and approach, right? Teamwork and systems thinking, which are all just music to my ears, right? Organizational development, I think what else is strategic, operational strategies, framework, vision, mission, leadership, collaboration, all those terms that are awesome and it takes me back again to those days when you were coaching at Granger High School. But it's awesome how you're shaping the environment here, the educational environment, to increase student academic achievement. So I just wanted to commend you. Thank you for your leadership and all the work that you do on behalf of students. And also please relay our congratulations and our thanks to the faculty and staff here for the work that they're doing. So
Thank you so much for those kind words, and I will make sure to relay that message. I love this place. It's an amazing place to work. Yeah.
Principal Espindola, thank you. And I wanted to ask a question, pitch you a softball here that really wasn't part of your presentation, but you've done some tremendous work. Your staff has done fantastic work around the seal of biliteracy and students achieving that goal. Can you tell us a little bit about that? The board, keep in mind, I don't think they have that information. So could you brag up a little bit on some of your other areas of goal number 4?
Yeah. So, gosh, I could talk about a lot of the things. I actually have a book that's our staff has with our systems and have all of that in play. But to in referencing what Dr. Green is talking about, our counseling department and I work really closely in making sure that our students are high school ready, and even our students that don't necessarily have the opportunity to engage in courses here that could give them high school credit, right? So our traditional like algebra, honors classes, our algebra, geometry, our Spanish courses, but also give our students the opportunities to kind of showcase what they have in terms of the skills, their bilingual skills. And so at Franklin, we have a very high turnout of students that take the seal of biliteracy test. And over the last 2 years, we have sent, I would say, close to 200 students to the high schools with 1 or more credits. Last year, we had 30 seals of biliteracy. So that meant the kids, got all 4 credits on the seal of biliteracy test. This year, we have early data. We're about in the 20s and still waiting for some, students to come in. But last year, we sent about 110 students with high school, with a credit for high school, and it's so amazing to see because they're students that don't always get to showcase their abilities, or in some aspects would go into high school credit deficient in their first quarter if they weren't taking it seriously. But what this does is it kind of motivates them that because of the skills that they have, either because it's been taught by us here at Franklin through our Spanish language classes, or it's been taught at home because it is a monolingual household or a bilingual household, that students get to showcase their skills, take that test, and actually start high school ahead of the game. And so it's just been kind of a point of pride for us here at Franklin to be able to send students to the high school, college and career ready, with 1 credit, 2 credits, 3 credits, 4 credits. Sometimes they're even leaving Franklin with 6 credits because they've done the honors math. So it's just been really exciting to be able to send that over to the high school and, watch them succeed. Yeah.
I just want to add
Go ahead.
something. Congratulations on that, by the way. The more credits that a student can enter high school with,
Yes.
the more flexible their course of study becomes.
Yeah.
Because we all know that there's a minimum requirement of 24 credits that students must accomplish by the end of their senior year.
Yeah.
And because we are in a 6-period day, 6 periods times 4 years equals 24.
credits.
It gives them no room for anything to happen other than perfection.
Yeah.
And you have given them some wiggle room within their schedule that they can actually take an elective if they want to, or take some other class that will help them, explore a little bit more in an area that they might have some interest in. But if they require 24 credits and we stay with the system that we have, which is all, the required classes, they don't have that flexibility. And you and your staff have given them a gift by continuing to offer those opportunities for high school credits when they leave middle school. So congratulations. Good
Thank you.
job.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for the
Thank you.
presentation.
All right. And I think the next part is our tour, right?
And yes.
Sorry, did I interrupt
but-
you? Oh,
Yes, but, yes, and I
Yep.
think is how we were supposed to say this. We do have some other students from Davis High School here today.
Yes, we
And
do.
so
Okay.
before we break for the tour here at Franklin, if there's no objection, I'd like to modify the agenda and have Dr. Green maybe introduce Mr. Ream, and we can go through that first, and then they can go home, work on their homework or whatever it is that they need to do, and we can do the tour. Okay?
Sounds good. Awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you, guys. And then those are stickers, by the way. You got a little bit of Franklin with you, so those can go right on those laptops, and you can display them loud and proud for the other middle schools to see.
I'd like to invite Mr. Lee Ream and Gabe Stotts. Come on up. That's not my intro. And bring all of your students with you. Thank you that are here. We'd love to see them. Just as they walk up here, I just want to acknowledge our CTE director, Gabe Stotts, and the work that he does. And then Lee Ream. I know that, Lee seems like he came into the district about the same time as I did. And I've been in close association with him over the last several years. And it's just so good to see the work that he has done on behalf of our district and working with students. And so I'd like to turn the time over to, I think it's starting out with Gabe. Is it you, please?
Yep. Good evening, everybody. So one of the projects we worked on this year at Davis High School was in the woodworking construction class. One of the requirements of all CTE courses is a work-based learning experience. And so with this project, we really wanted to simulate the students learning woodworking skills, learning the construction skills, but really try to make it feel like they were on a job. So when I first approached Mr. Ream about this project, we're like, hey, we have some retirees coming up. Is there any way that your students would be able to design some cutting boards and actually kind of make it like a class competition where, I'm the client, here's the constraints that they need to kind of abide by, but I'll come back in and kind of evaluate what these boards look like, and we can continue to fine tune the design down so then we could really go truly into the manufacturing phase. I would say that took a couple of weeks, right? With scale drawings, kind of some of the safety stuff that does generally go on in a construction class, the tools. But when Mr. Ream approached me, he goes, hey, I got about 15 different designs. You want to come check them out? And I was like, sure, that sounds great. So I went down there and the work that the students did was remarkable. They had very awesome designs across the board. But with the timeline that we had, we were like, wow, some of these might, if we got to kick out 25, 30 boards, we're not going to do this in 3 weeks just due to the complexity of the designs. So the ones that our students have are the ones that I did select as the client. And then Mr. Ream really did run them through the manufacturing of, okay, now we have a solid blueprint. Here's how we're going to manufacture these so we can get these boards ready for 3 weeks. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of turn this over to Mr. Ream. He really did lead the students on this project and did a very wonderful job. So with that being said, Mr. Lee Ream.
Hi. I may be a teacher, but I still get nervous talking with adults. Okay, so yes, so we were actually working on some other projects, and then when Mr. Stotts came into the classroom, we were like, okay, so I don't know if you guys remember, but I made an announcement. I was like, all right, guys, we're going to pivot. So, you know, and I did like a kind of like a general survey, like, are you guys interested in this? You guys want to try tackling this? And they said, absolutely. It was unanimous. So I have 25 students in that classroom. Only 3 of them were able to come today. More wanted to come, but they no rides and whatnot. Anyways, so the 3 weeks was it was a little bit more than 3 weeks. The total process took about 2 months, and I was get a lot of calls and check-ins like, "You gonna be done in time? You gonna be done in time?" I'm like, yeah, we will. And also, I put that pressure back on the students. So the 3 that are here, these were 3 that was actually kind of works out, because these are the 3 that kind of led and were like the quality control, right? So they finished their boards early. They were the ones that were supposed to check with the other groups. So each group of about 3 to 4 students, each created about 3 to 4 boards. And even today, we had a discussion about, well, if we were to do this again, how could we streamline this to make it better? So we had a pretty good discussion. I really enjoyed it. I think the kids enjoyed it for the most part. But not really about me. We should bring the kids up here and see what they thought about the experience. So we have Oliver, Thomas, and Francisco.
Yeah, I'm Oliver. Good evening, everybody. So what I think about this project is, you know, it was something great to do, especially like going to all our retired students that I feel are very important, not just for our community, but for the future. And, you know, the process was kind of long, and but I know I enjoyed it a lot. Great experience, you know, in like making a cutting board, like working with something new. Like, it was not something that I had done before, but, you know, it was great to do and something I really enjoyed.
Hello. I don't know if it works. Hello. My name is Thomas Cameron Beckett. Part I enjoyed about making the boards was I'd guess oiling them. I enjoyed that part the most, and also sanding, and I also hope that the retirees loved them, because I put my time into that and I enjoyed putting my time. And what else am I gonna say? I also enjoyed getting to work with my partners on this job, and I hope I get to work with partners again sometime. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Francisco. I'm not really much of a public person. Well, the most part I enjoyed was making it with friends. Difficult part was waiting for it to dry, and then the sanding. It was pretty difficult, but at the same time, it was fun. Thank you.
I didn't realize I was going to put them on a spot so blatantly, but they did a great job. So I should have said questions for them instead of having them just come up with something on top of their head. But yeah, if you have particular questions about the process that would make it more easy for them to answer, that would be great, I think. Yeah.
I don't have a particular question. I want to congratulate you on coming out of this with all 10 fingers. And I wanted also to tell you that the boards were lovely. They really were. We had retirees come up to us afterward and tell us how much they appreciated those and how they will have a place of honor in their home. They're not only nicely done, but they're also something that you can use every day. Most of them weren't going to use them to cut on, by the way. But congratulations on all your work, your hard work with these. These are a keepsake for folks. So they have a piece of Davis High School in their house.
And yes, so the safety thing, they will tell you over and over again that my number one rule is to always walk away with the same number of fingers every day. You know, count them when you come in, count them when you go out. Toes too.
I'll just add to what Director Rice said. I know that the retirees appreciated them very much. There was an extremely professional job, and I think it's really, really special for the retirees to know that they were handcrafted by students in our own district. So we can't thank you enough, and I hope you are very proud of the work that you put in on that. It really turned out nicely. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Okay, at this point, we'll take a 12-minute tour. Okay, everybody ready? This takes us to section C in our agenda for updates. The first item on the list are updates from members of the board. Does any board member have anything they'd like to report back on?
Yeah. Norm and I and Dr. Green and Barb were at the WASDA annual conference the weekend before this last one. And it was in Seattle. And Barb actually did a workshop. And I got rave reviews from everybody that I talked to that said that you did a wonderful job and that you should come back and do it again. Because she did a workshop for assistance to the board. And then we were there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and left Saturday, right? Wednesday, Norm and I were in
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah, we arrived Wednesday night.
Yeah, okay. Thursday, we were in the law conference, which is a pre-conference workshop that is pretty much all day. And it updates board members on changes to current law, best practices that have come bubbling up through the system. And it's always a bit of an eye-opener, the law conference, because, you know, these are lawyers that do put the conference, you know, are the keynote speakers for the conference. And they, I think they come into that, their sole purpose is to scare school directors to death.
No.
And Pam, next year, perhaps, or in the interim between now and then, there is a workshop for new board members. And I really hope that you take advantage of attending that either next year or between now and then. I asked if there would be a workshop for In the past, they've done like a winter session for one for the east side of the state and one for the west side. They didn't know if they were going to do that, but I guess there's some kind of a mailing list that they've got for new board members. And so you may have gotten something on that already. But it really is a good prequel to things that you're going to be dealing with as a board member. So I hope that you get a chance to take advantage of that.
I will. Thank you.
I went to 2 sessions that were follow-on sessions of Leading Through Turbulent Times, which was they were good sessions. It used to be a 2-part, and then they broke it up, and the presenters tried to pare it down to 1 part twice, and they couldn't get there. So they kept it at 2 parts. But it was very good. It was done by the North Shore School Board members, and North Shore went through some turbulent times of their own over the last few years, and there was a lot of learning that they took advantage of through that process, and they shared with us what their leadership looked like during that time. I took advantage of a large schools caucus session where they talked about levies and bonds, and it was there are some horror stories, and there are some stories that will warm your heart about levies and bonds that have or have not had the opportunity to get passed by their community. And then the last day, we were all in a breakfast session with Kathy Davis as the presenter. Kathy is the principal of the year for Washington State. She's the principal at Ruby Bridges Elementary in North Shore. And her whole presentation was how she developed this school whose sole mission is belonging. And I think it was probably one of the highlights of the whole conference. They have a high special ed population in this school, and it was very affirming to listen to her and how she turned that school around and used the topic of belonging to really bring everyone together. And we know that a lot of our schools are using that also as their mission. So it was really encouraging to hear her. And I don't know if you have anything to add.
Oh, a couple things. Actually, the presentation from North Shore was, Ruby Bridges is a model of inclusion. It's probably a national model of how to go about the process of inclusion of all kids and creating a sense of belonging for all kids. It was very powerful. So I think some of our administrators have actually toured Ruby Bridges and had a presentation there.
And we worked with Miss Bridges a number of years ago.
Well, we worked with Ruby Bridges, came here herself as a presenter at one point. Yeah. Well, I wanted to follow up a little on the law conference because there's some things coming down the road that we probably really need to take a deep dive into. There's some major changes in law, and a lot of the conference focused on school discipline law and school discipline policy. And there's some big changes this year, and some of them are good, And some of them make you wonder, you know, they should have spent a little more time in the smoke-filled room working it out, I think, because there's some things that are kind of scary in the law. So, but there is a model policy. WASDA, Washington State School Directors Association, has already developed a model policy that incorporates the new law. And so I mentioned to Ryan earlier, I think at some point we should probably be taking our district policy and go through it and update it so it's consistent with new state law and using the model policy as a guide to help us do that. Probably something we could do in our retreat in January.
Well,
Is take a
maybe
look
Bob's
at our.
done that already.
I'm not going to go into all the details, but there was a lot of stuff in it around discipline and what you can do and can't do, and what administrators can do and what teachers can do. And so there's a lot of new stuff in there that we want to make sure we're doing the right thing for our students and for our staff. So that was one. Another one, oh, that's more of the discipline policy. I'm not going to go into that now. Another thing that's of concern, and this has to do with special ed law, is the concern of high cost need students. It's a major. We have students that, and other districts do too. We have students whose costs of their services run $500,000 to $1 million a year, and that's more and more. That's a major cost in a system, and so we have to be prepared to deal with that under IDEA. As long as IDEA lasts, who knows? What's coming out of the feds is certainly not consistent with what's happening at the state level. So those are some things that we'll need to be sorting out as well around policy, including Title IX policy. Right now, Title IX policy around sexual harassment and other kinds of sexually oriented topics, there's major conflict between what's happening at Title IX at the federal level and what our state policies and procedures are coming out of OSPI, and some of those are going to go into court. So meanwhile, as schools, we're still caught having to make sure that we're doing the right things by our students and families and also following the law. So that's not going to be an easy one. So those are some things coming down the road. One other thing that came out of one of our events we were at, we were at a table with the Union Gap School District, and one of their concerns they expressed to us was transition of eighth graders, and that's always a challenge for our eighth graders coming in from Union Gap to here. In fact, I noticed on our agenda tonight that we have an event coming up later this week or early next week for eighth graders. Have we invited the Union Gap eighth graders to be there so that they're good? So they felt like they weren't getting everything they need all the time. And it's easy to forget because they're in a different district, but we want them to feel ready to go and welcome when they arrive here as ninth graders. So, and again, we also had the conversation. We used to meet once a year, I think, with Union Gap. And that fell by the wayside when COVID hit, and we haven't reestablished that. But they expressed interest in at least having one meeting a year in conjunction with them to talk about shared interests and concerns. So we might want to think about doing that. And again, I attended a different one on bonds than you did. And unfortunately, the one I attended had more to do with levies than bonds. And so it wasn't as timely as the one on bonds because we don't need a levy right now, but it would have been helpful to have more on bonds. So I won't go into that right now. But again, that's kind of my summary of it was a really good conference and it was nice to go to one. It's been a few years since I've been able to attend. So it was nice to update myself. So I don't know, Trevor, did you want to add anything? Okay.
I just want to let the board know that my grandchildren invited me to a trip on the 16th. So I couldn't say no, so I'll be missing our last board meeting of 2025. Just want to let the board know.
Yes, thank you. I've informed the board in previous weeks about the AWSL Award, which is the Association of Washington School Leaders, a culture kickoff award. This was the inaugural year of that award, and we had two schools identified. One is Davis High School, and the others was Adams Elementary. They will receive their award tomorrow. Davis High School at 12:30 p.m. and Adams at 1 o'clock p.m. So I'll be at both of those events, just informing the board of that celebratory nature that's happening tomorrow. As far as other announcements, just dovetailing off of what was shared previously, we did have Kathy Davis, the principal at Ruby Bridges. By the way, Ruby Bridges is about 550 students. She's the only principal there. They also had the teacher of the year. So she was principal of the year and teacher of the year in that building. We did go there under the Balmer Group grant that we received, along with in conjunction with the work at the University of Washington around inclusion and belonging. So this last year, all of our elementary principals and early learning principals went to see Ruby Bridges Elementary and hear Kathy Davis speak. She did a phenomenal job. So I'd just like to echo that. I have already been in touch with her on the way home. She and I spoke. I did go to her session afterwards. It was probably the best closing keynote that I've heard. We will be trying to bring her to, in some capacity, to work with our leaders, and perhaps there's a possible keynote in the future. We had an inclusion kickoff this last year in August to all of our staff, which was very well received. And I think that this could be a nice way of keeping the momentum going from an actual practitioner here in Washington State and show the movement that has been made in their building. So we're grateful to Kathy Davis and her staff for the work that they've done and the model that they're displaying for us and around the state. And we're very fortunate to have them as colleagues and help us mentor us through this process of inclusionary practices. The ledge priorities are out. I know Martha was at that large caucus session, and I will send you a link this evening to the legislative priorities for our district, which have been pre-approved. You just have not seen them in hard copy form or on the website. So that'll be forthcoming. Martha, or Director Rice, I had several people comment on how they really appreciated the legislative priorities, the document that was shared out. So kudos to our communications department. Ashley, please convey that. So heard everything from school directors to superintendents, and I think Marissa Rathbone even said something today in a meeting that I had with her. For those of you that don't know, Marissa Rathbone is the Assistant Governance Director at Washington Association for School Administrators, formerly at WASDA for the school directors. And the reason for bringing her name up is I was also part of a coalition today. It is the Coalition for School Funding. And that is made up of 8 statewide educational associations of nearly 8,000 leaders. So I was invited to be a part of that group. During the session today, I was able to report out on the SOUPS group, which is still being recognized as the first group in the state to fully address state funding, along with the Big Idea group of Representative Santos, and then, of course, the Equity Task Force that came out of House Bill 2049. So this is a fourth entity. This is not at the same kind of level that of recognition that the other 3 groups are receiving. I have not been a part of this session before, and I'm gathering that this has existed for a while and it's being reestablished. So it's really interesting that this organization, representing everything from school professionals to the business community to CTE principals, I think I said superintendents, school directors, is engaging in this process as well. And I'll send you a link also to the School Funding Coalition site so that you can see that also and know what's happening with respect to that group. And I think that's all that I have for you this evening. Just I would reiterate the impression that Barb Fiskus left in her celebration as she shakes her head in her presentation. There is already significant talk about having a strand for our executive assistants and working with the board. I was able to be in that room. There were, I think, 4 superintendents. There was about 22. So both, I think we all expected to have a very small number, and to have so many people and have Barb share her insight. I think that everything that she shared could be a strand in itself. So I think in the future, we're likely to see at WASDA an opportunity that didn't exist previously. And I think it speaks very highly of Barb to be named to that, and already be approached at developing a strand for WASDA. So I also wanted to recognize that. You all know how valuable she is, and she keeps everything functioning. So thank you, Barb, and congratulations on that presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Our highlights for community engagement are noted in board docs. We have the upcoming board meeting schedules. There's also the the engagement highlights, which is 4 pages of events coming up in different buildings around the district. So I'd encourage you to check that out. And if you want to attend any of those, please be sure to let Barb or Dr. Green know so we can make sure that that can be accommodated. This will take us to our first opportunity for comment from the public. Do we have anyone signed up?
Not at this time.
We'll move right on then to policy governance section D. We have the approval of ratings for policy 1000.2.6 and 1000.2.3. We only have 2 responses for both of those policies, but both of those responses that came in did indicate board and superintendent compliance. Does any member of the board wish to add or elaborate on any comments?
I turned mine in late. Seems to be that's the norm anymore. Anyway, I agree with the recommendations and the evaluations that came out of these two policies.
Because both ratings came in as 100% compliance, I move that we approve the ratings for 1000.2.6 and for 1000.2.3.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve both ratings 1000.2.6 and 1000.2.3. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Barb, on our agenda, I don't have an actual call for that second spot for public comment. Can I insert that here since we're close to the end? So we do have our second opportunity, which would be for any other item or topic, if anybody has signed up.
There still is no one signed up.
Just making sure. Thank you very much. Dr. Green, do we have need for executive session this evening?
We do not, but I have one comment, or if I may.
Absolutely.
I neglected to recognize, I know that Director Rice was calling out the importance of our WASDA conference. I did want to call out that our new director, Pam Shelton, is signed up for the boot camp online. So that's already been taken care of. So that was one item. And I think that's, the other one is if it's okay with the board, so you give me the go ahead. Since we weren't able to have all 25 of the woodshop students here, I would be happy to attend their class and thank them on behalf of the board. Yes? Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, again, thank you to the staff and students at Franklin Middle School for hosting us here today. Again, welcome, Director Shelton.
Thank you.
And we have our next meeting December 16th at 7 p.m. We'll miss you, Director Navarro, but we'll be meeting at Central Services on the 16th at 7. And until then, we are adjourned.